Hi, English 111 students. This is a video tutorial on how to make research note cards. And I want to say that the whole process of writing a research paper and using all these proper official steps through the research project is to not make sure that you have the most tedious process in the world, although it does feel really tedious, but it's to eventually make the writing part a lot easier and also to make sure that you're using these kind of tools to make sure that you're thinking really deeply about your project. So, what you're doing this week is not fun and it is tedious, but it is something that's going to result in a better paper and it's going to result in better writing and it's going to make the writing process easier. So, way back in the day when I was a little girl, whenever we wrote a research paper, we had to actually write one piece of information from our research on little paper note cards. And I don't know if you've seen them before, but they're like these little pieces of paper that they sell at the store that you can write stuff on them. So every piece of information, you would have to write on these cards the like APA citation, and you'd have to write your little piece of information, then you'd have to write the page number, and you'd have to number your cards. And some of my teachers would require like 100 note cards, so 100 pieces of information, handwritten, each with their own citation, before we were even allowed to start outlining or writing our paper. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that I am, first of all, going to be utilizing technology to make this less terrible for you, but also don't complain to me because I had it worse, is all I'm saying. Okay, so that being said, we are going to start at this point. You should have your annotated bibliography done. And the point of doing that annotated bibliography was to make sure that you were evaluating your sources, that you were using that CRAP test and making sure you had really good sources, and that you were aware of some of the biases in your sources and weaknesses in your sources. Bias is not by itself bad, but you have to be aware of it. So we did that. We did our annotated bibliography. We're really familiar with our sources. It also forced us to read our sources maybe more carefully than we would if we were just like putting something together. Okay, so that was the point of that. Now what we're going to start doing is really think about the information that we want to pull from those resources to use as support for our paper. So what are the most key components of that research that we actually want to use, because we can't use the whole article. And then we need to think about where would we place it? How would we start to organize this information? And back in my day, when we had to do these paper note cards, we would then like literally pull them all out and organize them on the floor, on the table, and start putting them in piles of where they went. And so that's actually kind of helpful. And if you'd prefer to do it on paper, you can do that because you want to do note cards. Like you can do paper note cards and then just send me pictures of them. If you like that idea of like moving stuff around, you can do that. But what I'm going to do instead here is use technology and color coding to start to organize the information that you have. So what you're going to do this week is you're going to work on doing a certain number of note cards every day so that by the end of the week, we've really worked through all of our sources. And so you're just going to do some at a time here, and you're going to use this video tutorial here to guide you. And then somewhere midway in the week, I'm going to have you break up your work and do a Flipgrid video on your research so that you have something to kind of break up the monotony of your assignments and also give you a chance to talk about it. Okay, so the first thing I want to share with you, and I'll have this for you, you are not working on your outline yet. This is just so you can look at it and keep track of your color coding. But you are going to be given an outline, and for the most part, this outline is going to really work for all of your subjects. It's pretty flexible, okay? And you're going to end up adding multi-paragraphs to each section in order to get your page length. But right now, you need to kind of think about what in my information can end up going in each of these sections, okay? So really, we're starting to make piles of information from all of our sources. All right, so I want to go over the outline, not because you're writing your outline right now, but so that you know where this is headed. And eventually, when we do write our outline starting next week, I'll provide you with a modeled example that's already completed so you have a better idea of what we're doing. Okay, so the first part of your paper is going to be an introduction. This is going to include an attention grabber, your thesis statement, and you're going to preview your argument. You are not going to have much evidence here. This is not when you start making your argument. You might have one piece of statistics or a short story that you can use as an attention grabber, but that's it. You are not making many note cards for this blue section. Also, the color coding is going to become important here in a minute, so just pay attention to that. All right, then you're going to have a section in your paper that has to do with the history or background on the subject. Okay, some of you have subjects that you need the history. Some of you have subjects where the history actually does not matter, and what really matters is just some context on the subject. So an explanation of the current day situation, okay? You might have a subject where both would be helpful. You have to decide that for your subject, okay? For instance, if you were doing a paper on standardized testing, the history of standardized testing globally and in this country is important, okay? But if you're working, I'm trying to think of a current day subject that would need less history. If you're working on current mental health issues, you might not need the history, but you might want to work on like the actual context of what's happening today that's bringing these issues up, okay? Or you might want the history. I had some students deal with the history last year, and it works, but you have to decide, or you could do a little bit of both. But that's going to be this kind of purple color. Then you're going to have a section on what's currently going on in the United States with this issue that you're talking about. So any of the kind of research that you have that's specific to the United States is going to be yellow. Then you're going to have pink is going to be the comparison of the U.S. to other countries. So this is where you're going to start bringing in your data from other countries and where they kind of fall on this spectrum. Some of you might focus on a ton of countries, and some of you might focus on just a few countries that are the most significant that kept coming up in your research. So you need to decide on that based on your research. And then the next section is going to be where you analyze the reasons for this difference between the U.S. and other countries. Maybe the U.S. is doing better than other countries, and you think you can point to a couple things that improves that. Maybe the U.S. is doing worse than other countries, and you can point to what other countries are doing to have a difference. Maybe it's really close, and then you just write about why that is. This is, well, I was going to say something, but that's not true. So pretend like I didn't just say something. And then you're going to have your conclusion. That's orange, but you're really not going to want to pull in new evidence in your orange section. So again, just like your introduction, you're kind of not going to keep track of that. So you're really going to focus on these middle four sections. Okay, so how to do electronic note cards. This is so exciting. You are probably not going to be that thankful about this, but okay. So the first thing you're going to do, and I can't show you, I'm on my husband's Chromebook because my school Chromebook isn't working. So that's pretty awesome right now during e-learning. So I can't, it's not a Chromebook, so I can't exactly show you this. But what you're going to do on your Chromebook is you're going to go to your apps and you're going to open up Google Keep. You should have some experience with Google Keep because I told you to save your student number on there. So you should know what you're doing. You're going to go into Google Keep and you're going to take a note. All right. And this is my modeled note card for you. Okay. And I'm going to post screenshots of this on Google Classroom so you can go back to it. So don't worry about like saving this section of your video. All right. Oh, shoot. Okay. Hope this is all showing up. And it's really great when there's grammar issues that show up. Okay. All right. On each note card, you're going to do this. Okay. At the very top, you're going to put the APA citation for the source you're working through. I would just copy and paste that from your annotated bibliography, and I'd work through one source at a time so you're cutting and pasting the same citation. So you're going to put that up at the top where the title is. And then you're going to start to number your note cards, and that's going to become important. That way you keep track of how many you have total. Okay? Then what you need to do right here is you're going to put one piece of information on your note card. Okay? You are not putting all the information you're using from each source on one note card. You're putting one tiny piece of information from the article that you're going to use or that you think you could use. You're probably not going to use all of these, okay? And then you're going to have multiple little Google Keep note cards for your source, for each source, okay? So each article should have a lot of these. One tiny piece of information on here. And then what you need to do is you need to paraphrase, and paraphrase means to put in your own words, okay? And that does not mean just changing a couple words. That is plagiarism still, okay? Even imitating a sentence structure that someone else uses, but replacing it with thesaurus words is plagiarism. Or you can give a summary, okay? You can use a direct quotation, like you copy and paste the information from the article only when there's no way to paraphrase it. Like you just think the way that the author stated is so clear and good that there's no way you could put that in your own words. Then you put in quotation marks, okay? But make sure you put that in quotation marks so you can figure out what you paraphrased and what you quoted. Quotations, word for word, goes in quotation marks. If you paraphrase it, just don't use quotation marks, okay? All right. If you are using something that has pages in it, like a journal article, you then need to put in parentheses the page number that you got this from. If you got it from an internet article, then you need to put the paragraph number, not the page number, because there's just one page, okay? And then what you need to do is you need to color code your card to match the section of the outline that you think that best goes in. So you're going to do that by going to this change color, and you're going to change it to the color that you think matches with the outline that I showed you earlier. So does it go in the pink section, the purple section, the green section? Which one does it really fit in? And then you're going to tag this. Oh, and I'm trying to think where you go for that. Don't need a reminder. Don't need a collaborator. You're going to go to change label or add a label, okay? And what you're going to do is label it American Exceptionalism Research Paper. And that way when you do other papers for me in the future, you will have these labeled correctly, okay? And you can search for it all at one time, okay? And if you could put your last name, first initial to American Exceptionalism Research Paper, then I can keep up with these. You are not going to add me as a collaborator right now, okay? Later on, when you're all done with this, I'm going to show you how you're going to share this with me. You're actually going to use technology to create all of this into a Google Doc, okay, to share it with me. So don't worry about sharing it with me right now. Okay, so I'm trying to kind of hurry through this because my daughter just woke up from a nap and she's crying. So we'll try to, I might just pause this here in a second. Okay, I'm going to go over an example here in just a second, but I'm going to not be a terrible mom here for a second. I'll be right back. All right, can you say hi?
Hi.
How was your nap?
Good.
Was it good? Did mommy take too long to get you out? Yeah. What are you going to do now? Watch Daniel Tiger. Okay, what do you think about everyone staying home right now?
Mama's staying home with me.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Oh, honey, I love you too. All right, we'll go down and play with Hazel, okay? If I can get that to stop. Oh, shoot.
That's closing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now Hazel's in charge of her. Nothing can go wrong. All right. So let's see how this actually looks when you do an actual card, okay? So this is my exemplar card for you. Okay. Again, that's nice. Okay. So here's what I did. I put my citation here in my APA format. So I just copied and pasted that onto the top here. Okay. I marked this as note card 1. And then I paraphrased this. So I put this into my own words. And actually, I think this was a summary of what was going on here. And I said in 2007, Barack Obama made use of digital media in a way that experts believe encouraged young voters to come out to vote. In that election, the youth participation in voting was the 3rd highest since 1972 in presidential elections. And then I'm still, even though I'm paraphrasing and summarizing and putting in my own words, I'm still citing it because I didn't come up with that information. And it was actually on Roman numeral page 10 there, so it's an X, but it's a number. Then I tagged this as 1, I guess. I don't know. You don't have to do that. And then I tagged it with the American Exceptionalism research paper there, so that they would all stay together. So that's what you're doing this week, and you're working on a goal of a set number each day. I need to go back and make sure. I don't want to say it on the video because I'm afraid I'm going to tell you the wrong number. It will be in print for you. And I color coded this purple because I felt like it would go under let me look at the tab, under the history and background of my subject. So I kind of went through and color coded that. If I were you, I would kind of just write down those color codes on a piece of paper and keep them by my side so I didn't have to keep going back to my outline. But that's just me because I hate going back through tabs. I know you would find that shocking knowing me, but sometimes I write stuff on paper so I don't have to open extra tabs. It's very weird. Okay, so you're working on these note cards this week, and next week you're going to start actually working on your outline and putting that information together. So our goal this week is to finish our note cards. So that's it. I hope that makes sense. Thank you for all your work. I appreciate it, and I hope it goes well. If you at any point need extra help or you're stuck or you want me to look at what you've done so far, you can send me a picture of a screenshot or something like that, and I'm willing to help you. Thanks so much. Bye.